Anyone that knows me knows that I love to have deep conversations. Clearly why I have a podcast. But is it because of a lack of love that has led me to want to have passion and deepness in everything I do? Is it because I'm a yapper? Maybe, I don't know. Probably all three. Let's talk about it.
What's up, crew? Well, in my opinion,
Boy, what the hell, boy? You need to ask yourself, why aren't you? Kind of controversial, but I don't think we should. I just broke down crying. You're listening to Free to Grow with Jerome Mbaga. New episode every Thursday. Hey crew, welcome back to another episode. You're listening to episode 11. Hot take, being sad is fun. I've really been wanting to make this episode. I know I say that literally every single episode, but I've been wanting to talk about this one specifically, and I decided to do it this week because it got brought up. I was just playing because I bought this light. It's the light that's shining on me right now. And I had the light on and I was playing some saddish, I don't know, nighttime music. And then me and my roommate, we were talking about what music we listen to falling asleep and stuff. And I was like, oh, I personally love not, it's not really sad, but just sad or just emotional or deep music. In the nighttime, I like that. And I was like, being sad is fun. And then he started laughing at me very understandably. But I don't think that's a hot take at all, actually. I think that that's a take probably a lot of people can relate to. So anyways, before we dive into this episode, I hope you guys had a good week from the last time I talked to you guys on Thursday. Moving to university has been super cool for this podcast, especially because I was kind of nervous. Just it's impossible not to be. I was kind of nervous that people were going to think I was weird or something because I had a podcast or troll me, but I have received only positive feedback from it, and it's been amazing. And people come up to me all the time being like, oh, hey, I listened to your podcast. And even people that I've never talked to before, and people that I do talk to, that are my friends. And so it's always great. Yeah, they've been putting up some crazy numbers, guys. So yeah, the podcast now has over 3,000 listens, over the span of all the episodes, which is pretty big deal. I was really happy about that. So welcome back. My week was pretty crazy. Just doing work, keeping up with my studies, all that kind of stuff. I hope you guys also had a really good week. I know I've said that 50 times by now. But anyways, I'm going to break this episode up into 3 parts. And there should be chapters on whatever platform you're using. So you can skip to whatever you want, or you can listen to the full thing. Up to you. But first I'm going to talk about why I personally crave emotional depth and sadness, kind of. And there's definitely a lot of lore dumping in that one. And yeah. And then second chapters, I'm going to talk about if that's a good or a bad thing. That could be with my experience with my quest for emotional depth and sadness, or it can be maybe relate to you. And then third, I'm going to be talking about how to maximize the sadness aesthetic. So you should be able to find that in the bio on whatever platform you're on. All right, let's dive into it. Basically, to summarize everything I'm going to say is, growing up, if you listen to episode 1, you know this for sure. If you haven't, go listen to episode 1. But anyways, growing up, I definitely didn't come from a very welcoming environment. Let's put it that way. It was very anti-emotion, abusive, space where I had to grow up very, very, very quickly in order to survive, literally in order to survive. And so because of that, I was forced to mature a lot faster than the rest of my peers. And that's not to call them immature or anything. It's just the normal rate in which a human matures. It was great. But I mean, like when I was a lot younger, I would like, I don't know, I was just like fully sufficient. I was fully like self-sufficient by the age of like, I don't know, 7, maybe 8. Like I could cook for myself. I was subwaying back and forth from school, just like an hour in Toronto, back an hour there, hour back kind of thing. Um, I And when I say self-sufficient, I mean self-sufficient enough to survive, not to like live. And so to do all this, it obviously came from a lot of like abuse from both of my parents. But how do I phrase this? Basically, I was shoving all my emotions down, like all of my emotions down, because showing emotion in my household meant getting abused, and that was obviously not what I wanted. But I did get to some point in my life where I realized I did not want to become like my parents, which is not a good thought. And I hope you guys don't have to have that thought. And if you are listening to this and you relate to that, I'm sorry, I get it. It's really, really not fun. But I realized I don't want to become like my parents. And so I sat down and I started thinking, and I was like, what can I do to not be like my parents? So first couple things I was thinking of is, I need to stop pushing down my emotions, because pushing down your emotions literally never works. I know we all do it on a day to day to like get by and all that kind of stuff. There's a normal amount of suppression that's fine. It's a normal thing, but it's not possible to push your emotions down. It's just pushing them down for a bit. Like it's not possible to shove those emotions completely away. Actually, that's a lie. There are some really cool psychological cases. Well, not cool, unfortunate, but from the science perspective, cool cases that study people that have gone through abuse, and it shows how like it changes their brain and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, essentially, I developed a fear. It was more a fear that I don't want to become like my parents, and I don't want to be like 20 or 30 years old and still like pushing down my emotions and dealing with the effects at that moment. You know, like I didn't like, I was like, okay, this is hell on earth, but I'm planning to just like keep living until I'm 18 and then go build a life, which is what I'm doing right now, like in university. But I wanted to be ready for the point when I got to university. I wanted to be in a situation where I could say like I can actually enjoy my experiences, not like be like a bully or like grumpy or like dealing with like, these are serious and valid emotions. There's big being depressed. Like I didn't want the past to affect my future. I wanted the future to start as soon as it could. So I developed a fear of suppressing my emotions and becoming like my parents. And so you might be wondering, what the hell does that have to do with this topic? Well, it's everything. Because in response to being scared of suppressing my emotions, I decided to do the complete opposite, because I didn't really know what to do. So I was like, all right, I'm going to dial up all my emotions to 100 and try and build the most meaningful connections with everything around me I possibly can. Now, that sounds great in theory. It sounds la 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 land or whatever, but it's not practical. Like it won't work. And to put it in simpler terms, that's called love bombing. So basically, I was a D1 love bomber. Like D1, like it was brutal. Very, very, very brutal. And I don't necessarily think there's a huge problem with like love bombing. Like I feel, in my opinion, I feel like it's worse than my speaker just shut off. I think that love bombing is better than its alternative, which would be kind of shutting down all your emotions. But love bombing leads to other problems where it places responsibility on other people to reciprocate like the kind of love that I'm giving them or stuff. And this isn't even relationships. This is just like when it comes to like friendships also, or just like people I meet like one day. I was just like, all right, we're best friends, fire. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to feel tied to something that was bigger than myself so that I could feel like I was grounded somewhere. That's my best place to put it. So essentially, I have a very, and I still carry this to this day, but it was a lot worse then. So basically, from a lack of self-love and a fear of becoming like my parents or suppressing my emotions, I decided to let out all my emotions and place value on everything, and want to have like the most in-depth emotional experience when it comes to every single experience. And so, hence, I liked being sad. And don't get this wrong. I'm not sad very often. I'm really not. And I can't really cry, but that's getting better. That's getting better because essentially, when I was a baby, obviously I cried like a baby cries. But then I lost the ability to cry for a really, really, really long time. I did not cry from like, I don't even know. Lucky my whole memory is like suppressed. I don't know. I didn't cry for a very, very long time. The first time I remember crying when I started crying more consistently, which isn't really that consistent, it was the summer of 2023. And it was because I was working as a day camp counselor. And I loved that job. I put my heart and soul into that job, tying back to me saying how I loved like tying connections and putting emotional depth to things, maybe if they weren't even there. And so for my job, it honestly was a good fit because I really, really love working with kids. I like seeing them smile. And so I put my life and soul into that job. I made sure every single kid was happy, all that kind of stuff. And then it was the last day and I had to leave and I was really freaking sad and I was just crying. It's not like I was leaving to go do a canoe trip for a month, which was also like one of the best experiences of my life. But I was just really sad. And then ever since that moment, I don't know, I've been crying more. That was kind of like a very big event because I was like, whoa, what the? And then I've cried a couple times in between that. But even right now, I'm averaging, I don't know, like crying once per year, maybe, if that. If that, honestly. I don't think I've cried this year. No, I don't think I've cried this year. I might be confused, but I don't think, oh no, that's such a lie, bro. I happy cried. It wasn't a lot of tears, but I happy cried when I was on the plane to Halifax, moving here, because I was just so happy that the day had come. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked. But yeah, I can't necessarily cry like as easily. Like I'm not just like, oh my God, I was crying last night. Like no. And I think that's not a very unique experience for me. I think that's a thing that a lot of people go through, especially guys, because guys and males are people that have male like experiences in their life, are taught to like suppress our emotions at a very young age. You know, like being told like, you know, you're a man, don't cry, yada 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 yada, all that stuff. That's a different topic for a different Thursday. But so now I'm at a point where I love being deep. I love having an emotional conversation with people all the time. Like literally the amount of times I've just like sat down with someone like I just met that day and they just start telling me their whole life story. Literally peak, bro. And then I start telling them about like my shit and all that kind of stuff. Oh, sorry, don't ban me, Spotify. But even it doesn't even have to be like something really, really, really deep. When I use the word sad more for the title so you guys can get an idea. But it's more emotional depth. Like just sitting like the nice simpleness of sitting around a fire with a group of friends, right? At a cottage. Or not even that, just like sitting on a curb. Like the amount of times I've sat on a curb with one of my buddies and just like talked. even if it was like, it doesn't have to be like a deep conversation, just talked about like stuff, anything. Um, I just love that simpleness, because we're always in a rush during the day, like, oh, we got to go here, we got to go there, we got to do this, got to go that. And just to be able to sit down and enjoy the other person's presence is beautiful for me and beautiful for everyone, I hope. But I love that feeling. So if you're listening to this and you ever want to talk about anything, I'm here. Just let me know. If I'm not dying with my assignments, let me know. So now we get to decide, is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Yeah. Sorry. I don't know. You think on this one with me, but I think given my situation, and also if you have the time and if you're interested, if you have not listened to episode 1 of this podcast, I highly suggest you go back, because I think a lot of this will make more sense. Yeah, because like my vision for this podcast is to have like a nice balance of like being vulnerable, because I like being vulnerable, even though it's like really scary. Like posting this, kind of terrifying. But anyways, I enjoy it. I enjoy being vulnerable, but I enjoy just yapping about random stuff. I enjoy talking about the world. So like up on my episodes, I have like a pretty good like diversity. So sometimes when people ask me, what is your podcast about? I don't really know what to respond, because I have a couple stuff about podcasting. I have one about fashion. I have one about like my odd top 5 or something. And then there's my first one where I just drop a bunch of lore about my life and a lot of the trauma I've been through. I have one about moving university, and like I have another one about just like practical and like organizational tips when it comes to moving university. I don't know. I feel like there's more that I'm forgetting. How to make friends. I don't know, but this is really cool that it's to the point where like I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm happy. Anyways, back to the topic of hand. I'm not sure if it's a good or a bad thing, but I think it was my approach of life, of like seeking emotional depth, was maybe the better thing than not seeking emotional depth. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's a good thing right now, but in the position I was in, especially in the position I was in during the point where I was suicidal, and that was not good. To hear more, go to episode 1. Damn, you guys, listen to episode 1. Anyways, I think my decision to like chase depth in experiences is honestly one of my most like defining features. Like I feel like if people were to describe me, well, I don't really know. That's kind of hard. But I feel like if people were to describe me, they would like, it'd probably come up into their mind that like I like to have deep conversations, and I like to like, I don't know, be deep, like especially like in my high school friend group. I love those guys to death also. But anyways, in my high school friend group, I was also one of the dudes that was like kind of pushing the group to be like open and vulnerable with each other, which was great. And I like being that role, which is also why I have a podcast, because I come up here and I'm super vulnerable with you guys. Like this is like really scary stuff. But as a person coming from a place where I felt so like untethered from everything, and there was just so much abuse going on, and there was like so much lack of like relatability to anything in my life, like anything. When I met someone that like had a feature that I related to, I wanted to keep them in my life for as long as possible, because it was like stability for me. Or I had a song that I just like loved, or it's like a specific line in the song that just like resonated with me so much that that's what moved me the most. in my life. And I kind of just became addicted to like chasing that feeling of relatableness with someone, even if you're going through an experience that's completely different from mine, just being able to relate over the fact that, hey, life gets hard sometimes is really nice. And so I'm hoping to be that kind of person for someone else, maybe you, if you're listening to this right now. And it's so amazing whenever people message me and they're like, hey, like, your episode made my day. Like, I've got that message and I like was smiling for the rest of the freaking day. I was so happy. So yeah, like the whole reason why I have this podcast is because I want emotional depth. I want to be a part of something bigger. And the something bigger, I know it's kind of weird because the something bigger part is also just me talking, but it's not. Like the bigger part is the community that I have. And it's so cool because I do have a little community. I'm not saying this to brag because you are a part of my community because you're listening to this. So thank you. And it's just like, again, I might be reading into something that's not there. Maybe you're listening to this on your device and you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's a goof. What the hell is this dude talking about? Blah, 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 blah. Whatever, right? It doesn't matter. At least from my perspective, I don't really care. Because from my perspective, I think you and I are best friends right now. Like, I'm not even joking. I think you and I are like a part of this community of people that come and listen to this podcast every now and then, every Thursday, and we just listen about life and talk about life and feel related to in some capacity, or maybe not related to, and getting a new perspective. And so I feel connected to you in some sense. That's like the best way to put it. And I feel like, from my perspective, we're friends. And as long as I can live with that delusion, and hopefully not delusion, then it's okay to me. So that's why I'm saying I don't know if it's good or bad, you know? Like, let's just say you're on the other side of the screen right now. I hope not. And you're trolling me and stuff. Is it better for me to, like, is it a better way to put it? Is it wrong for me to just assume that, like, this is a connection thing we have here going? Or should I be more like, what's it called? Like investigative, if that's a word, or like, concerned of like, oh, maybe like they don't think this and maybe I look like a goof, or maybe like I'm scaring people away or something like that. I don't know. I don't really know. But for now, I'm gonna keep doing it. The only downside, though, which I've become a lot more cognizant of in recent years, is that it puts a responsibility on people that they did not sign up for, frankly speaking. And so I really had to be cognizant about that. And that was huge in my relationship. I have a girlfriend of 2 years. And that was really, 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 really big in my relationship because I was a D1 love bomber. She honestly got like more of the lesser side of my love bombing because I was kind of crazy, bro. But anyways, I still love bombed her a lot. And it put a lot of pressure because, especially from a girl's perspective, it's like, oh my gosh, like, nice guy doing all these nice things, like, yada, 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 yada. I didn't do anything like offensive backwards, but it's just like, I would just go like crazy and like sacrifice like time where I maybe should have been doing homework instead, but instead I was getting her flowers or something like that. You know, like, it's not a bad thing inherently, but it puts pressure on her because then if she doesn't do that, then I'm like, oh, well, now I feel like this isn't like equal, or I feel like you don't like love me as much, kind of thing. You know what I mean? I never like crashed down on her or anything like that, but it put a lot of pressure on her, and sometimes I'd be upset and all that kind of stuff. So I had to learn to like not do that. So yeah. Okay, third part of the episode, third chapter, if you will, is the sad aesthetic. Better phrased, is best, sad music. Best, yeah. I don't know. Sad music. Anyways, number one, undisputed GOAT, bro. Okay, wait, actually, before I list it, these artists I'm about to list are best listened to this music when you have like some sort of like yellow golden light, like the one I have over there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's shining on me. Or like a fire, or like, like warm light. Or in a car. A car is also an exception. Or the darkness. I don't know. You do you. I'm just saying how I like to listen to it. Number one, my personally undisputed GOAT is Cigarettes After Sex. That's not very niche at all. You probably know, like maybe not a lot, but one or two of their songs. It's just so like emotionally like gut wrenching, but also like you feel like your soul is like being tied. I don't know. I sound like a voodoo. I sound like freaking. I sound like I'm doing voodoo over here, but no. Cigarettes After Sex, really, 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 really good. Artist. One of my favorite songs from them is, I don't know how to say it actually, but it's like Tawana Blue or Tijuana Blue. I don't know. It's Tejano space blue. Really good song. Or Sesame Syrup. That's a really, really, really good song. And there's also a bunch of like, they're really popular and basic ones like K or Apocalypse or Cry. Cry is a really, really, really good one. Anyways, it close to that genre is also the Marias. I'm low-key being fake for saying that because I only know like 3 songs from them, but the ones I do are fire. Moving on to a different genre of like, I don't know what to call it, country kind of. Noah Khan, super, super, super good. I don't even need to say like one specific song, but I will. Introspective, really, really, really good song. Go listen to it. And then obviously Zach Bryan. Zach Bryan is the GOAT. I'll have to say maybe Bass Boats for Zach Bryan. Or 28. I don't know. And then, if you don't listen to them, you might think that this is a really odd take. But Drake, Kanye, or Kendrick, really, really, really good. Really, really, really good for that vibe. And again, it all depends on what kind of like your music taste is. But I'm not talking about like their like radio songs or like rap, like, party songs. All 3 of those artists have amazing chill nighttime songs. Just go listen through their albums. For Drake, mine is probably, I don't know. I really like Middle of the Ocean, but I definitely have a better choice than that. I just can't think of it right now. Kanye, for me, it's probably Life of the Party. Life of the Party is a really good song. You guys should go listen to it. And then for Kendrick, my favorite artist of all time is this dude right here. Kendrick Lamar. It's a song called Father Time. Oh my gosh, guys. Earlier I was talking about how I like to be related to. Oh my gosh. Go listen to Father Time. It's a peak song. And yeah. This was a really cool episode, and I really wanted to make it. And so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I cannot thank you guys enough for whether you guys sent me a message or talked to me in person or just thought about it maybe, hopefully. I cannot thank you guys for the support you guys give me constantly. And I hope you guys are enjoying these episodes. I really do, because I make them for you guys. I also make them for myself because I just need to think my thoughts out loud. Because I always leave our talk every Thursday feeling so much like more clear with my head. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing really, really well. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, crew. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye, crew.